So I want to thank everybody for coming today. This is our, this is like a meetup group. It's a sustainability event. It's just, you know what, we as Americans just taking control back, and we can't wait for somebody else to do it. We got to start doing something about it. So there's these little grassroots events starting to happen all over the place. So we're really fortunate and glad. A couple of items. There's something to drink right there. A friend brought some vegan chocolate. Also in the box there. There's a restroom inside this room over here, so if you need, go ahead and use it. So my name is Mike Garcia, and I'm the founder of a landscape company called Enviroscape. And I've been around a little over 30 years. We've done a lot of jobs, ponds, waterfalls. We built a pond at the California Science Museum. We've done tons of residential ponds, landscapes over 30 years. And there's a few issues that have come up that have really been on the minds of people in America, here in California, here in Southern California. A couple of the issues is one is GMOs, and the evidence is overwhelming as far as GMOs. And so I don't think anybody can say get rid of GMOs, but what I do think is that people are calling for them to be labeled. Because there's no law that says that they should be labeled as of this point, yet people are actually wondering, can I grow my own food? Well, the answer is yes, you can grow your own food. But then we got hit with the perfect storm, a double whammy. If you grow your own food, and I'll give you our experience. Last year, November a year ago, when the elections were taking place, one of the propositions was Proposition 37 on GMO labeling. It didn't pass, and you know what? I think it was probably, at the time, it was probably a good thing, because people started freaking out and thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I need to start growing my own food. So we get flooded with calls, and so we put in a couple hundred organic gardens, and then about 2 months later, we get calls from those same people. OMG, my water bill is $400, $500. I was at somebody's house in Manhattan Beach yesterday. I asked him, hey, Rusty, how's your water bill? Oh, $1,500. Wow. Yeah, $1,500 up for his water bill, and he hasn't been using it anymore. It's just that they've gone to a tiered system. Now, a little bit about the water supply in Southern California. Southern California never had water to begin with. We're like a big version of Las Vegas. We're like a big desert. Every day, every 24 hours that the clock rolls around, we import 1.5 billion gallons of water. 20%, just about 20% of the electricity that's consumed in Southern California powers the pumps that bring water to your faucet. So it's at a huge cost to bring water. So needless to say, I started rethinking and examining everything we were doing in landscaping, and I got the statistics from the water district, and they said that about 65 to 70% of the water that comes into a household goes out toward the landscape. And I thought, well, we could easily cut that in half. So we pioneered a lot of the drip irrigation methods for using under grass, for example. Rainbird copper shield technology, we use a lot of that. Rainwater harvesting. Some of you you can see where this flagstone is kind of interspersed with this rubbery stuff. This underneath here is a 5,000 gallon rainwater harvesting system. So I've got videos on this on YouTube. The YouTube channel is Enviroscape LA. But when it rains, I have solar power up in the garage here, but when it rains, the rain goes into a filter and it goes through the channels and then it comes underneath here. I can show you later, but there's actually a pump that actually pumps that rainwater out and it pushes it into drip irrigation. So it's a great effective use of water. Getting into getting into the native garden scene. 20 years ago, we landscaped the Manhattan Beach Botanical Garden. Back then, people were like, "Why would you do a native garden? It's crazy. Why would you want to save water? It's $20 for all you can use." What short-sighted thinking that was. Now, the Manhattan Beach Botanical Garden and native gardens are like the thing that are in vogue. That's what everybody wants. But it's not just about saving water, but it's also being a voice for those who don't have a voice. The monarch butterflies, the hummingbirds, you know, so that's one of the reasons why we still do water features to bring, but with the water features we do are recirculating water features. We do koi ponds, we do fountains. At the Manhattan Beach Botanical Garden, we built a big water feature there. We put native grass around it with drip irrigation. It's a fabulous product. And there's a plethora of new products coming. I know we have guests here today that are in the trades. Aquaponic people have been doing it much longer than I have. We have Kurt from Rolling Planter, who actually has planters that follow the sun. So really, really neat, great stuff. But I think this perfect storm has caused a plethora of new ideas and inventions. I'm so glad because of the power of the internet, we're able to get together, we're able to share all this information. One of the things we've been pioneering is in the aquaponic world, we have so much experience with pond building and making beautiful koi ponds. A couple of decades we've been building koi ponds, but one of the things is that when you think of fish, you think of them as like the horses of the sea. And they let out some really good liquid compost, if you will. And if you could figure out how to push that into like plant roots, you could actually have some amazing produce, lettuce, tomatoes, chard. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And so we've got a couple of type of gardens. One's called an aeroponic garden, which uses, because not everybody has a pond, so an aeroponic garden is a garden that actually you mix some fertilizer solution up, and you put it in water, and then it feeds the roots for 15 minutes and lets it air up for 15 minutes. The good news is there's no weeding, no composting, no bending over necessarily if you don't want to, and the hard part is you do have to harvest it and eat it. Okay. The nice thing about it is that the aquaponic systems, you can see with the waterfall in the back here, you can enjoy your fish. I'm a vegetarian type of guy, actually vegan, so I don't, I just not, I mean, I don't care if anybody's carnivorous, carnivore, meat eater, that's okay. But for me, it just works for me to just, it just works better that I have the vegetarian lifestyle. So I actually enjoy my fish. I've tamed, that's the name of my biggest fish. He's about that big, he's huge, biggest koi fish you've ever seen. But I feed them, I enjoy them, and then they give back to me in the form of liquid compost. I do have friends who do have tilapia, and it's great. If you're going to eat meat, I think fish are great. I think it was LA Times came out with an article this week on all of the, when you think about it, when you're going to have a steak or you're going to have a hamburger, you kill the animal, and then it takes hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of gallons to like wash away all the blood and all the stuff. No, we don't like to know how hamburgers are made. We just want to eat them, but it's at a great cost. And plus, all the water it takes to bring the grasses up to feed them, it's just at an enormous cost on our environment. So all that's coupled in with me saying that if you're going to eat meat, it might be preferable to eat fish. So, okay. But I'm not here to, talk about debate philosophies or anything, just to say that, you know what, anything that we can do to contribute, and this whole meeting is about trying to promote environmental awareness, about the environment, about our earth, about our food supply, about the GMOs. I think that it's meetings like this that we're all going to make a difference. So with that, we're going to kick off our first meeting. Like I said, that we have water with organic oranges inside. We picked them yesterday, trimmed trees for Lady Pillsbury, so they're actually organic oranges. Vegan chocolate, and there's rest from there. So any questions, feel free. Get your camera out, take pictures of anything you see here, because we're trying to really get the word out about making a difference. So, any questions? Yes.
Are these every month and on like the first Saturday or when?
On my website, enviroscapela.com, I'm going to post them. Our next meeting will be March 1st. And then I have, for example, St. Louis Botanical Garden called me last week and they said, Mike, we'd like you to come out do a sustainability presentation for a site. I'll do roving presentations all over the U.S. and Canada. So, so I'm not here. I would love it to be like the first Saturday, but but for sure next month. And I actually do have a list. If you know what we'll do is I have a piece of paper back there. We'll put email, put your name, email, and then any questions you might have, and I'll be happy to get back to you on that. So, oh, Peggy.
If anyone's interested, I've known Mike for over 4 years now. I run a Waterwise Garden Tour, which is in the South Bay area. It's on May 18th. If you're interested, I have the card. You can look up the website. It's all about what you're talking about.
May 18th?
May 18th. It's all about what you're talking about. It's saving water, we still have a beautiful landscape. It doesn't impact us. So if you're interested, I have the card. You can look that.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that too. Yeah, Peggy just came up with a really great idea. I used to do South Bay Waterwise Garden Tours 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and you know, it's a lot of work to be a contractor and running the crews and doing everything. We have a lot of business owners here, and then do that on top of it. It just, and so I could never do it justice, and you know, when you're running from here to there, and it's like, and so thank goodness Peggy's taking the torch, and she's actually like running with it and doing a fabulous job with it. So I would say it's a premier native garden event of the whole South Bay. It really is. Yeah, so I highly recommend everybody. South Bay Waterwise Garden Tour. Yeah, and if anybody else has any other events you want to mention, or does anybody want to say something about a product or why you're here? Oh, please.
I'm a marine biologist as well as an aquaponics enthusiast, and I put on an event every year in the beach to celebrate the kelp forests that I spent 10 years restoring in the ocean. But we always have a component for aquaponics because everything is connected, especially this year with the water shortage. One of the best ways to help the local oceans, believe it or not, is to stop dumping fresh water into the ocean. So if you're interested, April 26th in Laguna Beach is Kelp Fest. And come on down on the beach, and I'm a nonprofit organization, so I work with about 1,700 students a year teaching aquaponics and ocean restoration, saltwater aquaculture as well. And they'll all be there exhibiting what they're doing to help the ocean in addition to the aquaponics.
Good, thank you. You know, something about aquaponics, we were talking earlier, I've talked with people who've actually been here to my house, and they're like, this is what we were after. A lot of people in aquaponics, they have these big giant tubs, which I would never put in my backyard. If you want it to look pretty, you would never just put big giant tubs in your backyard. And then, you know, that's what I call a farm. That's what you do in a parking lot. You don't do in your backyard. So my goal as a landscape contractor, I have the aesthetics, and so I'm always trying to look after the aesthetics. But if you see something that's not perfect here, like this right here, it's because it's like, well, yeah, I want it to be, this is like a teaching tool, so I just want to give people the idea. This is a good illustration of an aquaponic system here. I actually have little tiny mosquito fish, those black ones called gambusias, because people ask, well, don't you get mosquitoes? No, because I have these little submarines called gambusias, and their whole purpose of life is ding, 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 and then they get mosquito larvae. But I actually scooped out pond water from my big koi pond here. I dump it in here, and those nutrients, right here, I have a pump on the bottom right here, and it pushes water up here every 15 minutes. Okay, see, there you go. That water right there actually waters, that's pond water for the pond, actually goes, gravity pushes it down here, and it's actually watering all this going into here. I have this is celery down here. Last year, now it kind of dies in the winter, but last year, summertime, I pictured it on Facebook. It was higher than my hand.
Wow.
Have you ever seen a piece of celery grow that tall?
No.
It's huge.
And what did it taste like? Was it good?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
It was good.
Yeah, it's really good. Just unusual. You know, I'd love to see you do that with a soil garden. You just can't. So I think this water is really, it's really touching people's lives, and it's really making a difference. And this is just like a prototype of some of the other stuff we've done in the back. And I think the finished product of this is the wood structure we have in the back, where it's shooting it down, and it looks like water balloons. And then we have the vertical gardens over there, they look like, with the bamboo, they look like little Hawaiian skirts. But those things are amazing. We can plant seed in them, and within 30 days, I got huge heads of lettuce. So, and then Kurt has the rolling planters. I still have it at R&D, but I thought, what a great idea, because even here, the sun changes during different times of the day, different times of the year, excuse me. And so I'm going to seal that up, and I'm going to use, this obviously is not pretty. This is just like, you look at this and you're like, okay, it's functional, but it's not pretty. But if I could take his rolling planter, plug up the bottom, and then push a little pipe like this, and then have it go through every 15 minutes, I think we've got a winner.
I think you got a winner too. But
Yeah.
it's like I just haven't had a chance to do anything because I just got a super amount of orders this last month, and I'm going to Boston, I'm going to all over the place.
Yeah.
I just can't. I want to develop something with you. But
Yeah. No, we're working on it. We actually filled it up with soil. We did R&D. You can see there's a lot of soil, a little bit of soil left in the bottom. We pulled it all out. We have ground on it. We have pond filter mat. So we're frantically working with this, trying to create new technology that's pretty, something that you put in your own front yard or your backyard. Thank you.
Can I ask you, when you make this little one that you have here, can you make it out of like a clear plastic for teaching purposes and or is that not practical?
Algae. I think algae would, the algae would heat up.
And clear PVC is really strong.
Yeah, this is actually, believe it or not, this is one of our earliest ones. This is a lot of doomsday preppers in Alabama, Kentucky. I put this on YouTube, and they're like like. I put aquaponics system for under $100, but you know what? There's something to be said about food grade plastic and safety, and so the CPVC plastic is fine, but this is just drainage pipe we had left over from the job. So I'll grow this and I'll feed it to our chickens, and the girls love it. So, but yeah, this is kind of an early prototype, and then I have one on the barbecue counter there. That was from a guy in Florida. They have a few of those at Disney World. It's called the foodie system, but I didn't like it. It's kind of half put together. It's like buying a car without a steering wheel, wheels, and without an engine. You actually have to put it. You have to figure out. I think he's kind of waiting for somebody else. Okay, I got the infrastructure. Now you've got to invent what to put in it. And I'm like, I want something just made already. So, let's see a little bit about the yard here. A lot of this is native succulents, stuff that doesn't need a lot of water. That does, it's probably not going to survive here. I'm not a big believer in putting a lot of water in plants. So stuff here has done really well. The plant up there, the big bush right there, that's called a butterfly bush. Butterflies love that bush. And it has a flower that's purple. It smells really good. And I actually have you've heard of the monarch butterflies. They love this. There's a little plant right here. It looks like it has a little bit of cotton on it since they already came. And this is actually food for the monarch butterflies. Love this stuff.
What is
And
that?
yeah, milkweed. Yeah.
It is milkweed? Okay,
Yeah.
that is the next.
Escapulus. Yeah, and there's Senecio, there's Aeoniums. This isn't looking so good this time of year. But these are called crown of thorns. If you have questions about plants, me and my nephew Louis back there taping. We have our degrees in ornamental horticulture, so we know plant names. But that $5 we get you coffee at Starbucks. And then and usually my next door neighbor, when the South Bay Waterwise Garden Tour happens, my neighbor, she's in on it, so a lot of times people get the 2-for-1. She has an amazing backyard, doing a lot of things, and one of these days we'll put on the system for her. These are sequoia trees, these big guys up here, actually sequoia trees, you don't see that very often, especially roughly your next door neighbor. So as a neighbor before her actually planting those, but they're still alive. So, and anything else? We've got the solar power. Oh, in the koi pond, I actually have a floating island that actually has chard in it. So it's the perfect vegetable island. The perfect vegetable garden, you don't need to water it because it sucks up point nutrients, and I eat from it just all the time. So front yard, we have pondless waterfalls. I have one here too. I just didn't turn it on for some reason, but it actually, if you want to see rainwater from last season, once I turn the pump on, it actually, there's a little waterfall right there. It actually, it's rainwater from last season. So,
What is the mat made out of?
I think it's pond filter mat. Yeah, pond filter.